After you. You take the left. Well.
Yes, fine,
well,
thank you.
Yep. Good. Right. It's like the psychiatrist's chair. Richard Dawkins, great to see you.
Hello.
Now, I know we're not allowed to have too much fun, but I was certainly going to try and squeeze in quite a few questions. Are you aware of the clock?
Yes.
It's quite large, isn't it?
Yes.
You've never been interviewed in 5 minutes before?
No, it's going to go off, it's going to ring at the end.
I hope so, that's
yes.
the idea. Anyway, I have to put the battery in, and you can you can count us down.
Very high tech.
So there we are.
2,
Let's go.
1, go.
Okay. Have you ever said a prayer?
Of course, when I was a child, I said them all the time.
When did you stop believing in God, or when did you actively start disbelieving in the existence of God?
About 15 or 16.
Now, if you were in a life-threatening situation, or in a very dangerous situation, would you not be tempted at all to say a prayer?
Oh yes, the old "there are no atheists in foxholes" question. I would not be the slightest bit tempted, no.
Why are you so absolutely certain there isn't a God?
No, I'm not. I'm not absolutely certain that there isn't all sorts of things.
You've described yourself as a 9 out of 10
Yeah, well,
atheist.
yes. I mean, in the God delusion, I've got a 7-point scale, and I'm a kind of 6.8, 6.9. There are many, many things you can't disprove the existence of. Technically, we're all agnostic about millions of things, about Thor and Wotan and
pink elephants,
etc. There is no reason to believe in anything for which there is no evidence.
Would you describe yourself, though, as spiritual, perhaps?
In the sense of enjoying poetry, enjoying music, getting a sort of tingling feeling in the spine when I look up at the Milky Way, when I look down a microscope, certainly yes.
Would you like there to be a God?
I don't really think like is an important issue here. What matters is what's true, and the universe doesn't care what I like.
If I were to give you a choice, I could say death means death, which means that's it, or heaven exists. Which would you go for?
Give me about 200 or 300 years, but I think no longer than that. Eternity would be awful.
Okay, and so presumably if I were to say to you, death means death, or heaven but also hell exists, which would you go for?
Well, it's such a silly question. I mean,
not worthy of our 5 minutes, come on.
Not worthy of 5 minutes, that's what I should have said. Yes, no, if the hell as envisaged by Christians in order to scare children witless existed, then of course I would prefer not to have that.
So for you, now, what does death mean, and does it scare you?
Death means the end. It's like going into a general anaesthetic. Going into a general anaesthetic and never waking up. It doesn't scare me. It would disappoint me if I were to learn that I was going to die in the near future, because I've got a lot more living to do.
Do you think death in our society in Britain is a taboo subject?
In a way, perhaps, yes. I think there is a tendency to avoid talking about it as though it was a taboo subject, yes.
What motivates you, Richard, to be good?
A very strong sense of how would I like it if other people behaved to me in a bad way. Sorry, I said that wrongly. How would I like it if somebody behaved badly to me? I feel that very strongly. I feel a very strong sense of empathy towards people, a very strong sense of sympathy towards people who are sorrowing, grieving, in pain. Not just people, I mean any sentient beings.
If I were to say to you, what's the point? What is the point?
The point is no less of a point if you don't believe in God than if you do. The point is to live life to the full, to enjoy life, to understand what's going on, to revel in the world in which we find ourselves during the time we've got.
You mentioned music. You love music.
Yes.
What else makes you happy?
Sunsets, walking through the countryside, poetry, laughing, all the usual human joys, human intercourse, human friendship.
And what do you feel, I mean, when it comes to persuading the world of your sort of worldview, what do you think is your most strident or impressive achievement so far?
Strident or impressive sounds like an odd juxtaposition.
Well, some people would say that you've been called Darwin's Rottweiler. Are you happy with that?
I'm not strident. I mean, Rottweilers are very nice dogs, by the way.
Are you an animal lover?
Yes. I'm relatively quietly spoken. I don't shout. I'm not strident. I am impatient sometimes with muddle, with unclear thinking, but that's not strident.
Is there a problem with trying to convince the world that God doesn't exist, or that we shouldn't believe in God, given that it's pretty difficult to prove that he doesn't exist, to prove?
Well, no, because I'm interested in the truth, and so whatever is true of the universe interests me. I'm not interested in disproving unicorns. I'm not interested in disproving flying spaghetti monsters. The only reason for disproving God is that many people believe it.
Time is up. Really nice to see you.
Okay.
What was that like?
Fine.
Did you feel the pressure?
No, well, yes. I mean, I couldn't see the clock, so it's fine.